Hi, everyone. This is Franco from Real Review Hub. We're discussing our case study, day 3 of One Funnel Away Challenge. Day 3's topic, or mission 3, is the who, not the how. Again, those that tuned in to our previous other videos know that myself and my friend Frank are doing this case study together. Okay, my background is in education, and I'm totally new to ClickFunnels and to this whole process. So I'm really a newbie. My partner Frank, who's in marketing full time, and he is a little bit more familiar with it and has some experience with it. And we're basically showing two different perspectives of this case study. Okay, so Russell Brunson, again today, had a video which talked about vision. Okay, what is the vision for the entrepreneur or business person, whatever you want to use, right? It's what do you want to create? What are you trying to accomplish there? Okay, and then he talks about, the how, procrastinating, the who. What does that mean, right? So I'm going to show you what that basically means. He had a perfect diagram here. Okay, if I could show you guys. As you can see here, and it's showing the business person, and it's showing the who here, and procrastinating, and your vision, and your opportunity, okay? And I'll explain what all that means in a second, okay? So basically the how, it's, as an entrepreneur, we're all excited we're gaining steam and snowballing. We're going forward. We have this funnel. We have this great idea. And then all of a sudden we come to a stop. And you start to figure out, how am I going to create this logo? I don't really know Photoshop. I don't know how to run a Facebook ad. I don't know how to write a sales letter. I don't know how to be a graphic designer, right? So all of a sudden everything stops because we're trying to figure out, how do I do this? And then what happens is we start to procrastinate, right? And this may take months, may take years, right? Or we may totally lose sight of our vision and just give up, okay? So instead of that, right, we start figuring out the who, right? And what does that mean? Who? Who do I know that knows how to run Facebook ads? Who do I know that's a graphic designer? Who do I know that can write a sales letter for me? Who do I know that's great with emails? Okay? And the light bulb starts going off. Okay? And they talk about opportunity costs, right? And basically, what's an opportunity cost? I'm going to give you the exact definition from our homework assignment from today that I'm going to show you guys. Okay? So here, the one funnel away challenge, pre-training, mission 3, the who, not the how. Okay? And today's checklist is watch the video, complete the worksheet, and when we're done, we had a comment in our OFA thread, #mission complete. And it's a checklist of things I could do, like maybe I can write an email, or I'm good at social media. I have no idea on the right where it talks about maybe I don't know how to edit my video. Maybe I have no clue how to run Facebook ads. Okay? And we went to opportunity cost, like I was just touching upon. The exact definition of opportunity cost is the benefit or value of something that must be given in order to achieve something else. Okay? So what does that really mean? Well, going back to opportunity cost, what does that mean? Well, if I'm stopped because I have to figure out how am I going to create a logo? How am I going to figure out Photoshop, right? And let's say to figure that out, I spend 30 hours trying to learn it, right? So, okay, great, spend 30 hours. So now I'm not doing my funnel. I'm not worrying about my vision anymore. I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I solve this one problem? And I'll give myself, I don't know, what's my hourly rate? Am I worth $100 an hour? Sure. Give myself $100 an hour. So it took me 30 hours to learn it. At $100 an hour, it cost me $3,000 to learn Photoshop. so I can design my logo. Do you think I could probably find it somewhere else for a lot cheaper? Yes, absolutely. Okay. Again, that's where you figure out, light bulb goes off. I can, instead of me wasting money on, wasting time on things I don't really know how to do, I should be focused on things that I can do and outsource everything else, because I'm sure I can get that logo done for a lot cheaper. And instead of worrying about, you know, how am I going to get this logo done and all these other things, I could be focusing on things that will make me money. What are going to be my revenue streams? Okay. So that's what opportunity cost came into play. All right. And then he also talked about, funnel Rolodex. Okay. And what the funnel Rolodex is I'm going to show you here. It's something that they created where can I go get help to get this stuff done? Here's a perfect example, Facebook ads. Okay. So you can actually go on here. Okay. That ClickFunnels created is the funnel Rolodex. And you can basically twofold. You can go here to find help, or if you have no money to create your funnel, you can offer your services on here. So let's say you're really good at creating logos, and we'll charge, I don't know, $100 a logo, right? After 10, 20, 30 of them, now you have $2,000, $3,000. Okay, now you can go with that money, you can go forward with your funnel, and you're good to go. So this is really helpful too. When they showed that, I went there. I was really helpful for me, especially being a newbie. That I'm not trying to Google a million things and figuring out, okay, how do I Google, how do I run a Facebook ad? Okay, great, I have the information. I still don't know how to do it. Now, who's the best person at it? Okay, we're here. It's done. People are giving their comments, the pros or cons about people. So I thought it was awesome. So that's something you really should look into. I highly recommend it. All right. And then let me just finish back with the rest of our worksheet. Okay. Again, when I talked about hourly rate, it showed us the funnel Rolodex, where they want you to write down about 9 people that you would probably use, okay, that you would need. All right. And then there was, again, another coaching call from Steve Larson, okay, which is about 50 minutes long, here or there. And one of the stories he talked about was his black notebook. And he was back in college, and they were doing a dodgeball tournament game. There was a bunch of guys there, but no one was doing anything. Everybody was standing around, and no one was picking teams. And some guy came in with his nice voice. He goes, "All right, let's begin." And people just started picking their teams, and they started to play. And what he realized is he put that in his notebook as, you know what? He wrote that down, that this was his business lesson. Okay, anytime he learned any type of business lesson in life, he wrote it down in his little black notebook, and he would always go back to it and refer to it as things went on throughout his life. So that might be really helpful to some people. And just like Russell Brunson talked about, going back to, our hows and finding people, an orchestrator is kind of like a contractor that Russell talked about, where, if I'm building a house, I may not know every step of electrician, mason, tile, roofing, but I know I have a Rolodex of people that I can find to get this house completed for me. Well, the same thing that Stephen Larson said was an orchestrator, right? His job is to have all the different instruments come together, and they talk about the tempo and making sure bringing everyone together. It's the same thing. And what he said was all entrepreneurs are orchestrators. Okay, that's what we are. And at his best, when he was really motivated early on in the days, he was doing that. But he started to see, even though he was making money and he was successful, the people that were making a lot more money, for instance, like .com Secrets, for instance, they had a team. and some other references he used, they all had teams helping them. It wasn't just a one-man show. And because of that team, they were able to accelerate that much faster, okay? And so again, he was like, huh, write that down. He started figuring out, I need a system to help me out, okay? And that's where the team comes into play, that a team's going to help you start figuring out a system. So if I'm busy, Joe can run my Facebook ads for me because I'm too busy working on my offer, for instance, on my funnel, okay? And they started delegating different people on his team, and his team started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But then there was still a problem that Joe from Facebook ads would still have to call him and say, hey, do you want me to do this? Or someone else from another department say, hey, do you need me to do this? So again, Steve was there bottlenecking because he was still there trying to make decisions. So everything came to a halt. So he said, there's got to be a better system to remove me, right? To remove the entrepreneur out of the equation so it could almost run by itself. That way the entrepreneur can just focus on the offer, okay, on his funnel, what his strengths are, and have other people focusing on the other things that he's maybe outsourcing, okay? Or people, when you get really large, you can put on salary and work for you, okay? And he started figuring out, okay, and the way he described it was, going on to the next one, was funnel versus business, okay? What's a funnel? Basically a revenue stream, right? And he said he started right off that he was having a ton of money. He was helping this company out, and it was going higher and higher and higher, and making so much money. And at day one, that people were like, oh my goodness, I've never seen so much money sell, so much products. Day two, they were a little bit less excited, but they're, wow, it's still coming in. Day three, they were like, hey, you got to stop this. We can't manage this. And he's laughing. He's like, I'm not the owner. He goes, you wanted me to build this to make money. And he let it go, and it kept going higher and higher, more sales and more sales, okay? Till he got a phone call from the CEO from the company, said, hey, you need to shut this off because you're going to cause us to go into bankruptcy. And he was like, what? Is a big step back for Steve Larsen. And he said, that's the first time I realized that a funnel is not a business, not at all, because a funnel's job is a revenue stream just to make money, and you want to feed ads or whatever you need to do, put fire in that gasoline and let it just keep rising and making money, right? But in the business aspect of it, a real business has overhead expenses, and if they can't get inventory fast enough for whatever logistics reasons, they will go out of business. So he said, wait a minute. So they had to slow things down, and they had to create a better system to help them. Okay, so when he got his own, Steve Larsen wrote this down, and he realized it was a learning experience for him, that when he had his own business, same thing. It was going crazy, crazy, crazy. It was going like high, 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 and he had a system, but the system was down here. Okay, so his business was selling like crazy, but the system was here. So he was so stressed out every day, 24/7. He's like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? To the point it consumed him. So he had to lower this end of the sales and say, you know what? I got to get my system back up higher. And once he had all his, rows in a duck, and his ducks all in a row, excuse me, and he was able to make sure everything logistically worked, then boom, put the gasoline back on the fire, okay? And he kept going back and forth and back and forth. All right, so basically what he figured out, that a business, all it is a system that supports the funnel, okay? So a funnel is not a business. It's just a way to make money, okay? But figuring out a system to support that funnel, that's how you start to have your business, and that's how you begin to grow. And I thought that was mind-blowing for me because I never looked at it in that way, okay? Not at all. Then he talked about, he's got so many, he talked about, he has ADD and he's all over the place, and, things are always in and out of his head and whatever. So to keep him organized, he uses Trello, okay? And he goes, he has all his lists on there and his ideas, and he goes, it's just easy for him to like dump all his ideas out of his head so he doesn't forget them, and he knows they're there. And then he went further into it, and he talked about his red dot, green dot system, which I actually paused this. I paused it and went back a little bit and rewinded. I go, wait, did he just said red dot, green dot? And that's what he said. How he explained it was he used a big giant green dot where anything on his list, which was a major revenue stream for him, that he knew those had to get done first immediately. It may have taken his whole time. Then he had small green dots where smaller revenue streams that maybe there was a lot more of those that was his second things that had to get done. Okay. His red dot, he didn't touch at all. And at first I was like, what do you mean he didn't touch him? How's he going to get things accomplished? And what he said was, if you can afford it, all those red dots are things you would outsource. For instance, creating a logo, outsource it. Running Facebook ads, outsource it. Speaking of which, Stephen Larson said to this day, he really doesn't know how to run Facebook ads. He goes, that's not his strong point. He goes, and he doesn't want to learn from that. He knows his expertise are in funnels. And I thought that was really an honest opinion. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I don't have to be great at everything. I really should be focusing on creating my offer and my funnel and learning that step and being able to outsource everything else, right, to speed up the process. And I thought that was really, really great. And, he also figured out the who's. How did he figure out the who's? How did he start building his Rolodex of people? And he said, well, a couple of ways. One way he goes was networking. He would just pick up the phone and say, hey, I need, someone to run Facebook ads for me. Do you know anybody? Okay, which most of us could probably do. Another thing he did was he went into Facebook and all the different Facebook groups. And he would just start typing, running Facebook ads group. And sure enough, they popped up. And he gave a challenge, a contest basically. And he said 270 people replied to it. And some people started dropping themselves out. And then he was able to eliminate to 3 people. And out of those 3 people, once he told them it was going to be an additional contest, dropped out themselves. So it was just 2 people left. And then he was able to narrow it down to 1 person. And I was like, that's a cool way to look at it. Okay. And then he says another way that he basically does it is he uses freelancer.com, which some of us may be familiar with it. First time I heard of it, right, because I'm in the education field. And he goes, basically, they will facilitate all these things for you. Okay, so if you need a writer or you need whatever you need, it's all up there. And I thought that was awesome. I really, really did. Okay, so again, this was the One Funnel Away Challenge, day 3, the who, not the how. This is our case studies, day 3. I'm starting to find a groove. Every day it's been a little bit easier, I'm going to be honest with you, even though I'm doing this solo. But I can't wait for my partner, Frank, to come in, my best friend. Make sure you hit that like button. Okay, hit that bell, subscribe. All right. And again, take care, guys.